The war between Ukraine and Russia rages on. In the latest, Ukraine has carried out new strikes on Russian forces. Several explosions were reported in the Russian-controlled city of Luhansk. Smoke was seen rising above a former aviation school. It is now being used by the Russian military. According to a Moscow-installed official, Kyiv carried out attacks with 2 Storm Shadow long-range missiles. The UK supplied these missiles to Ukraine recently. Russia has launched a new wave of attacks on Kyiv. Moscow has launched aerial attacks involving drones, cruise and ballistic missiles. This is according to a Ukrainian military official. The latest attack involved the most number of missiles fired by Russia in the shortest period of time and from different directions. Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko has inadvertently confirmed that 4 military aircraft had been shot down over Russia last week. This happened near the borders of Ukraine and Belarus. Minsk responded by putting its armed forces on high alert. The incident comes amid reports of Ukraine preparing for a counter-offensive against Russian forces. Taiwan has begun a 5-day military exercise. This is an annual exercise and focuses on responding to a potential Chinese invasion. The exercise includes scenario-based military movements made by China's People's Liberation Army. It also incorporates actual military events in Ukraine. In China, youth unemployment has hit a record high. Unemployment among people aged 16 to 24 has hit 20.4% for the first time in April. This has been seen as a worrying sign for the overall economic recovery. The economy is still struggling to involve new workers even as the overall labor force is declining. In Pakistan, former Prime Minister Imran Khan has renewed his call for protests. He has alleged that over 7,000 members of his Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf party have been illegally detained. Imran Khan was arrested and released last week. Meanwhile, Pakistan's Supreme Court has urged the government and opposition to hold talks on conducting elections in the country's Punjab province. In New Zealand, a fire broke out in a hostel in Wellington. At least 6 people have been killed so far. Authorities expect the death toll to rise. At least 11 people are unaccounted for. The country's Prime Minister, Chris Hipkins, visited the scene of the fire. The cause of the fire is under investigation. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has arrived in South Korea. He will hold a summit with South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol. The two countries seek to boost cooperation on security and critical materials used in batteries. Trudeau and Yoon's meeting will be followed by an official dinner. Trudeau is the first Canadian leader in the last 9 years to visit South Korea. It marks the 60th anniversary of bilateral relations between the two countries. In the US, an 18-year-old gunman shot 3 people to death in the state of New Mexico. Several others, including 2 police officers, have been injured. The gunman was shot dead by a police official. The motive behind the shooting is not yet known. In the West African nation of Senegal, supporters of opposition leader Ousmane Sonko took to the streets. They started protesting, which led to clashes with police officials. 1 police officer died in the protest. Protests come as Sonko is scheduled to appear in court. He's facing trial for the alleged rape of an employee at a beauty salon. In Malaysia, authorities are mulling over decriminalizing the small-scale possession and use of illicit drugs. This is to free up prison space. Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim's government has been working to overhaul the criminal justice system. This year, authorities abolished the mandatory death penalty and natural life prison terms for some crimes. Currently, Malaysia has harsh penalties for crimes related to drugs. According to a report, India is mulling over helping Greece and other nations in their quest to reclaim artifacts from the UK. This is part of India's global initiative to support the victims of what is called colonial appropriation. This comes after reports suggest that New Delhi will try to get the Kohinoor diamond back from the UK. In Myanmar, the leader of the military junta visited a cyclone-hit township in the Rakhine state. The visit's aim was to understand the extent of damage and send donations to the residents. Cyclone Mocha hit the Rakhine state on Sunday. It brought winds of more than 200 kilometers per hour. According to the UN, about 6 million people in the region were already in the need of humanitarian assistance. In Bangladesh, people are dealing with the aftermath of Cyclone Mocha as well. Residents are cleaning up debris and repairing damaged houses. Tens of thousands of people were evacuated from southern Bangladesh. Cyclone Mocha was one of the most powerful cyclones to hit Bangladesh in nearly 2 decades. In Canada, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau visited the province of Alberta. He met the soldiers who are fighting the wildfires. The province has been facing 89 active wildfires, out of which 25 are out of control. The wildfires worsened over the weekend. It forced the evacuation of thousands of people. The wildfires have also affected Canada's energy production. In the US, residents of Seattle and other cities are experiencing record high temperatures for this time of year. The temperatures rose to 31 degrees Celsius, breaking the previous record of 30 degrees Celsius. High temperatures during this time of year have raised concerns. This is because the weather is unseasonably warm for the region. In India, New Delhi and the National Capital Region witnessed dust storms on Tuesday. Residents woke up to a hazy and dusty morning. The dust storm limited visibility. The sudden change in weather also impacted the region's air quality. The dust storms are happening because of cyclonic circulation in the state of Rajasthan. In Croatia, heavy rains caused a river to burst its banks and flood a town. Croatia received an average of 10 to 40 millimeters of rain in just 24 hours. The country's prime minister has said that all necessary steps are being taken to ensure the safety of the population. In Uruguay, people staged a protest in front of the presidential residence. Protesters expressed anger against the increased levels of chloride and sodium in tap water. The South American country has been dealing with a persistent drought. Uruguay's state-owned water company has started mixing brackish river water with fresh water. The supply of fresh water has been dwindling in the country. In Peru, an anemic, malnourished and hypothermic sloth was rescued by national park teams. The young sloth was placed in an incubator to stabilize her health. Veterinarians from the Peruvian National Forest and Wildlife Service say the animal was poorly fed and had signs of mistreatment. The animal will be rehabilitated into the jungle next month. Greg Becker, the former CEO of Silicon Valley Bank, has apologized for the bank's collapse. Greg blamed rising interest rates and mounting withdrawal requests for the collapse of the firm. He wrote this in his prepared testimony for a U.S. congressional hearing. Becker, along with executives from the other failed lender, Signature Bank, will testify before the Senate Banking Committee. The hearing will be the first chance for lawmakers to grill the executives. Auditing giant PwC has said that the former CEO of its Australian unit will retire as a partner of the firm. Tom Seymour will retire on September 30th. Last week, Tom stepped down as the Australia CEO. His resignation came after PwC found itself caught up in a scandal. The scandal involved the leaking of confidential government tax plans. Reports suggest that the US antitrust agency will file a lawsuit against biotechnology company Amgen. The lawsuit is aimed at blocking Amgen's nearly $28 billion acquisition of its peer Horizon Therapeutics. Earlier, US Senator Elizabeth Warren had written to the agency expressing her concerns regarding the deal. She had accused the companies of having anti-competitive business practices. Warren added that the deal would cause further price increases in the healthcare sector. Tesla CEO Elon Musk has rolled out a new advisory to his company's hiring team. He said that the electric vehicle maker cannot hire new people without his approval. This will also include the hiring of contractual staff. Musk has asked executives to send him a list of hiring requests on a weekly basis. He's also cautioned them to think carefully before submitting their hiring requests. US-based automaker Ford is reportedly working to reduce costs in China. The automaker has not confirmed how it is planning to implement these cost cuts. However, media reports had shown last week that it was planning to cut around 1,300 jobs. This comes as the company is working to recover from a slump in its sales in the country. The US Department of Justice will reportedly step up the scrutiny of crypto exchanges. It will target crypto companies that engage in crime themselves or promote crimes like money laundering. The Justice Department will also focus on crimes related to decentralized finance. The department believes that the move will caution companies that have been ignoring compliance and risk mitigation procedures. Reports show that hacker groups have stolen over $700 million worth of cryptocurrency from Japan. These hacker groups are reportedly affiliated with North Korea. According to the report, North Korea has stolen a total of $2.3 billion in crypto from 2017 to 2022. Microsoft has won the European Union's antitrust approval for its acquisition of video game company Activision Blizzard. Reports say that the move may encourage regulators from China and South Korea to follow suit. If that happens, Microsoft will get closer to its $69 billion acquisition plan for Activision. However, the tech giant still faces considerable hurdles towards the goal. Last month, the UK's regulator rejected the deal on anti-competitive grounds. Apple is facing a new probe from regulators in France. The company is being investigated for allegedly planning to make smartphones obsolete. Reports say the company is doing so by making smartphone repairs complicated. This means that any repair procedure that was against Apple's policy would render the device obsolete. According to Apple's policies, repairs are restricted to certified technicians only. As per media reports, ChatGPT maker OpenAI is preparing to release a new open-source language. This comes after OpenAI's ChatGPT has become a global sensation. However, reports say that the new model is not expected to be competitive with ChatGPT. Moving on to sports, Gujarat Titans beat Sunrisers Hyderabad in yesterday's IPL match. The game was played at Ahmedabad's Narendra Modi Stadium. Shubman Gill scored a century as Gujarat scored 188 runs in their 20 overs. Gujarat bowlers Mohammad Shami and Mohit Sharma took 4 wickets each. Visitors Hyderabad were restricted to 154 runs during the chase. Gill was awarded the Man of the Match award for his 101-run knock that came in just 58 balls. Pakistan has threatened to boycott the Cricket World Cup that will be hosted in India later this year. The threat comes amid speculation of Pakistan losing hosting rights for the upcoming Asia Cup. Pakistan Cricket Board Chairman Najam Sethi has warned against moving the Asia Cup out of his country. The Indian team has refused to travel to Pakistan, citing security reasons. Pakistan have offered to host India's matches in the UAE as part of a hybrid model. However, India has cited heat and logistic issues in the UAE. Meanwhile, Sri Lanka and Bangladesh have joined India in opposing Pakistan's hybrid model. England Test captain Ben Stokes is ending his IPL season early. Stokes will play his last match for Chennai Super Kings on Saturday and skip the playoff season. The all-rounder wants to give himself recovery time before the Ashes series in June. The 31-year-old has been plagued with knee issues since April last year. Stokes hopes to fulfill the role of England's fourth seamer in the Ashes. This comes as England seamers James Anderson and Jofra Archer remain doubtful for the series. In football, Liverpool beat Leicester City 3-0 in the Premier League. Striker Curtis Jones scored twice in the first half, giving Liverpool an early lead. Trent Alexander-Arnold sealed Liverpool's victory with a stunning free kick in the 71st minute. Liverpool are currently fifth in the league, 20 points behind league toppers Manchester City. Juventus confirms that midfielder Paul Pogba has sustained a thigh injury. According to the club, Pogba has been diagnosed with a low-grade lesion in his left thigh. The club has hinted that Pogba will miss the rest of the season. His recovery may get delayed as the Frenchman suffers from multiple injuries. Marcelo Bielsa has been named Uruguay's next head coach. According to his contract, Bielsa will coach Uruguay's football team until 2026. Earlier, Bielsa coached Leeds United, where he led Leeds into the Premier League after a 16-year absence. The 67-year-old will begin his tenure at Uruguay next month. Local media has reported that former Brazil coach Tite will take over as Al Hilal's head coach next season. Al Hilal have been in talks with Tite to replace current head coach Ramon Diaz. The Saudi Arabian club were not looking to re-sign Diaz for another season. Instead, they're interested in signing Tite, who led Brazil in the last two World Cups. In tennis, world number one Carlos Alcaraz crashed out of the Italian Open. Spaniard Alcaraz lost to Hungarian Fabian Marozsan 6-3, 7-6 in the third round of the tournament. Alcaraz had built a 4-1 lead, but Marozsan rallied back in his stunning win. This was the first defeat for Alcaraz to a player outside the world's top 100 rankings since 2021. The second leg of the Beach Tennis World Tour concluded in the Canary Islands. In the men's competition, Italian pair Tommaso Giovanni and Doriano Beccaccioli were crowned champions. Meanwhile, Venezuela's Patricia Diaz and Brazil's Rafaela Miller won the women's competition. The sport is a combination of tennis, beach volleyball and badminton. It's played on the beach with paddles and a low-compression ball. In rugby, fans are gearing up for the Men's World Cup scheduled for September. This year will mark the first time a female referee will officiate some of the matches. Joy Neville will make history as the first woman to officiate a Men's Rugby World Cup game. Neville used to play for Ireland's rugby team, after which she retired and became a referee. K-pop singer Haesoo has died at the age of 29. The police in South Korea have retrieved a suicide note, but its details are being kept under wraps. The news of her death came 2 days after police reported finding the body of a K-pop star. The identity was not revealed until the investigation was complete. Recently, K-pop singer Moonbin also died by suicide at the age of just 25. Celebrity author Martha Stewart has made history by becoming the oldest woman to be on the cover of the Sports Illustrated swimsuit magazine. The 81-year-old said it was a historic moment. She said that she gave up breads and pasta and took up Pilates to prepare for the shoot. The Writers Guild of America will not picket the 2023 Tony Awards. Earlier, Tony producers had requested a strike waiver, which the WGA had rejected. Now, the WGA announced that though there will be no interim agreement or a waiver, they won't picket the event either. The Tony Awards will take place in New York on the 11th of June. Comedian Jay Leno has paused production on his game show You Bet Your Life amid the ongoing WGA strike. Leno has been a member of the WGA for over 40 years. He said that he stands in solidarity with his fellow union members. The 73-year-old had also supported the last WGA strike in 2007. The Peabody Awards were set to return to an in-person ceremony this year for the first time since 2019. However, the organization has cancelled the show in support of the WGA strike. The organization said that they respect the position that many of this year's Peabody Award winners are in. The 83rd Annual Peabody Awards were scheduled to take place on the 11th of June in California. The Cannes Film Festival director, Thierry Frémaux, has said that he's open to let climate demonstrators express themselves on the red carpet. The news comes at a time when at least 3 major protest movements are planned in France. Cannes is known to ban demonstrations near the festival venue. It recently banned France's pension reform protests along the Croisset Boulevard, where the festival is held. The SCAD Savannah Film Festival has announced its debut LGBTQ+ short film competition. It will offer mentorship and networking opportunities to budding queer filmmakers. The submissions for the competition are currently open for directors, writers, and producers who identify as LGBTQ+. The film festival will take place from the 21st to the 28th of October. Actor Jamie Foxx and his daughter Corinne Foxx are teaming up for a new music game show. The show is titled We Are Family. It'll have non-famous relatives of celebrities performing duets with their famous family members. The news comes shortly after the actor was hospitalized after suffering a medical complication. Fox's daughter has confirmed that he is now recovering at home. Singer Kim Petras has announced the release of her first full-length album or LP. The album, titled Feed the Beast, will release on the 23rd of June. She announced the news on her social media with a link to pre-save the album on streaming platforms. The games division of e-commerce giant Amazon is developing a new game based on the fantasy film franchise The Lord of the Rings. The game will be a multiplayer adventure based in Middle-earth, where the films are based. It'll be launched for both the computer and gaming consoles.